My next guest is a resident of New Jersey, and he's got a thing or two to say about these reports. Please welcome into our show our very own, newly minted New Jersey correspondent, America's accountant, Dan Geltrude. Dan, thanks for coming on. I mean, talk about somebody that's right in the thick of it and has seen it with his own eyes. What in the heck is going on?
Scott, when I tell you this scenario is so crazy, and by the way, thank you for the latest appointment. I appreciate it and accept with great honor. But let me give you a little bit of history from my perspective, literally being ground zero in New Jersey for this thing. We started off about a month ago where these drones started showing up. People were reporting them. Government comes back and says, no drones, there's no drones around. Don't believe your lying eyes. Then over time, Scott, they're all over the place. So we don't have a Bigfoot situation, right, where it's a one-off. This is literally happening every single day so that the government can no longer deny their existence. Scott, I see them myself when I leave my office. I see them in the sky. When I go home, I see them in the sky. They are right there. Now, I'm no expert on drones, so perhaps, one or two of these things may have been a plane, but they're not that high where you can't tell it's a drone in most cases because they're literally just hovering. So now everybody can see them. There's no denying it anymore. Then the government comes back and says, well, yeah, there are drones. We don't know what they are or what they're doing there, but they're not dangerous. Don't worry about it. I don't know what to believe.
That's the circular logic that I'm talking about. First of all, they say they have no idea who they are, what they are, who they are, who's doing it. But in the next breath, they tell you that don't worry about it. It's all safe. There's no threat. If you don't know who's doing it, how do you know if it's not a threat or not? I mean, and then they think that we're just going to take that as an answer and turn and go away. There are reports that these things are the size of small SUVs. I don't know if you can concur, but also that these things are pretty loud. You can hear them. I don't know anything about the technology, but I would say this. I'd be very surprised if it was anybody else except for us, but I don't think that's a good look if we're still trying to jam this down people's throats like the spy balloon and tell them that what they're seeing is just a mostly peaceful protest with an inferno burning in the background.
Well, you're right, Scott. And you know what the issue is for me here? It's the issue of trust, right? Trust in the government, because you and I are always talking about what? Government data. And people are making really big decisions like interest rates and so on based upon data that's coming from the government. Economic data, jobs numbers, employment numbers, inflation numbers, right? How do we know that any of that is credible, especially from my perspective, where, yes, these drones, you could actually see they're a pretty good size. We're not talking about the stuff you see your neighbor messing around with. This is clearly like, I don't know, commercial grade, government grade. Yeah, you can. Literally, you look up, you hear them, you see them hovering. I don't want to say that they're so close like you could throw a rock at them. But, there is some concern that some people in New Jersey are getting to the point where, like, you know what? If the government isn't going to take one of these things down, I will. Then we have a real mess if one of these things falls on someone's house, because we're pretty densely populated here, Scott.
Right, and that's why they say that the government doesn't want to get involved. At least that was the same reason that they used for the spy balloon. They waited until it was out over the ocean after it had all the information that it needed. I'm fascinated by the story. I think everybody else is too. And I don't see, here's what I'm looking at right now from my point of view. Maybe you'd agree, maybe disagree. I don't see an easy way out now that they've gone down this road so far now. Now it's going to be very difficult to backtrack and say, you know what, it was us all along or whatever. I think they've really put themselves in a corner here.
Well, listen, if it is the government and if it's not the government, it's even scarier, Scott. So I can't
even think that. Yeah.
Exactly. So let's just say it is our government, and whatever they're doing, they're doing. Why not say that they're testing out technology, defense technology. I mean, something. I would think it's something along those lines. But when you start off denying and then you go to, we don't know what it is, but don't worry about it, it's not dangerous. Now you're really getting people nervous. And when you see Democrats and Republicans in New Jersey getting frustrated and coming together, demanding answers, you know something's really happening.
You're right. It's down to trust. You're exactly right. It's about 1,500 commutations of some pretty bad people. It's about spending all the money you possibly can before January the 20th. There's so many things that go along with this behavior, I would say, that really is a little bit disconcerting. But it's par for the course. Maybe I'll say that too. Anyway. I want you to keep us up to date on this thing, because I might have you come back during the regular week just if we get some exciting news. Because, like I said, they've put themselves in a pretty big corner here. It's going to be uncomfortable for them to get out. And maybe we're going to want to hear what you have to say. Thank you very much, Dan, coming to us on a Monday. Dan Geltrude from Nutley, New Jersey. That's great stuff. All right, here's a